Okay, so what was all this stuff about being an asshole? You know, perfection is a jealous mistress. And when you have the chance to see it and serve it, you don't want anything to interfere with it. Now, I couldn't produce anything perfect on my own, but I could see it. I couldn't make it, and I'd recognize it if I saw it. But perfection, it's like the siren's call. And by the way, for all of you who felt I was an asshole my whole life, there were various chapters to it and various nuances. Before I was kicked out of Apple or demoted and then I left, um, I, I probably was a supreme asshole in this way. I was both a killer and a murderer. The difference between those two is that when you're a killer, you will do whatever it takes to get something done. It doesn't mean you necessarily want to hurt people, but you will do whatever it takes to accomplish whatever your goal is. I think before I was kicked out of Apple the first time, I was a murderer also. What's a murderer? A murderer is someone who takes delight in putting other people down, who takes delight in sarcasm, who takes delight in hurting other people. And maybe that came from the fact that I was this outlier in life. I felt different, and so now I had this power, and I was going to get even with the world in spades. But then, you know, after I left Apple, after I lost a lot of my money in Next Computer and a lot more in Pixar before everything turned around with Toy Story, plus I had a wife and children, that sort of changes you. So when I came back to Apple in 1996 and 97, I was still the killer because I needed to stay focused. If you ever get confused in your head, which all of you do every day, most moments of the day, you'll know that everything is pulling at you to take you off focus. And I knew that if I was going to accomplish anything insanely great, and the eyes of the world and Apple were on me to do that, I had to remain focused. I couldn't let anything get in the way. I couldn't even get something that I enjoyed get in the way. I had to kick out things that I actually loved if it was in the way of that focus. So when I came back, I didn't take delight in hurting other people, hurting other people's feelings, in bullying them. What happened is I felt a certain urgency, and I remained a killer, but a killer has a focus. I didn't wake up when I came back thinking, who can I humiliate today? And I'll admit, no contest, that before I left Apple the first time, I would take delight in needling someone, teasing them. There was a part of me that, for whatever reason, had to get even with the world. And let's not get too psychological about what that was about. But when I came back, I was a killer, but not a murderer. And for all of you who know really successful entrepreneurs, they have that also. It is so difficult to stay focused and remain unfocused because everything is pulling at you. Not just the people around you pulling at you, but your head is pulling at you, and it's constantly pulling at you, but you have to remain focused. The true visionaries, it's both a blessing and a curse. You can actually see something, and if you can realize it, it's yours for the taking. It's kind of like when I went to Xerox PARC and I laid my eyes on the graphical user interface. I saw that technology could be fun for the average consumer. It could be like a video arcade. It could be like what I learned at Atari. It could be fun. You make technology fun, you own the whole consumer world. So I saw that clearly, but there were a lot of steps to making that happen. And so my apologies to those people that I took delight in bullying the first time around because I didn't know any better. But no apologies for after I came back to Apple, because sometimes you have to be a killer to hold on to that focus when all the people in the world are pulling you away from it and everything in your head is trying to pull you away from it. If you think I'm wrong, think of the entrepreneurs you know and think of the ones who who have that singular focus. And also think of how irritated and angry they get at you when you try to pull them off that focus. That is why, I hate to tell you, this is why we have HR, by the way, and why we have COOs. Most visionaries and most entrepreneurs who have a vision, the word they can't stand more than anything in business is people. We hate the word people because we have to do things through people and we're dependent on them, but they're always distracting. They're not understanding. They're not understanding what's clear in my head and other entrepreneurs' heads as quickly as we need them to be so we can get on to the next thing. It's kind of ironic because as much as we are intolerant and impatient with the people that we need to make all the stuff that we have a vision of, we're incredibly empathic to the market. We're incredibly able to see beyond what people think they want and know they want. So we seem to be able to see what will delight millions or hundreds of millions. So we're in tune with them. We just have trouble being in tune with the people that we need to make it all happen. So I hope that gives you some insight into your entrepreneur boss, your visionary boss, and try not to take it too personally when they act like killers and when they even act like assholes.